we're going to try to make the beginnings of a game of Pong. Pong was one of the first video games ever created, and it basically is like playing it is like playing ping pong. So anyways, we're going to try to do something like that. So I'm going to call it ponger, just for the heck of it. And if you guys could go ahead and put a comment at the top. Comments always start with a hashtag, and then the color of the text will be green. And then go ahead and hit the 3 bars and hit save as, and then put ponger 1, because this will be the first in a series of several, and then hit save. And then when you're done writing the code, show me what you did. And I'd love to hear if you learned anything. And don't forget to give me suggestions if you'd like to see something added to this. So anyways, let's go ahead and create the ping pong paddles. So we'll create the right and left paddles. Actually, let's do that in order. Left and right. There we go. Left on the left, right on the right. And paddles. And we'll call the left one LT paddle, and we'll make it a rectangle. And I'm going to start it out with an X value of 0, because it's going to be on the left-hand side of the screen, comma 150. That'll put it near the center, up and down vertically. And then we'll make the paddle width about 10, and then we'll make the height about 50. And you'll see why in just a second. I'm going to hit run. And there's a paddle on the side of the screen. And for those of you who don't quite understand how it's a paddle, I'll show you soon. Let's go ahead and copy this line of code and then paste. And in order to make the right paddle, I'm just going to change the L to an R. And now maybe you can begin to see why I spelled left paddle LT. I like it when I've got two things that have a similar use and they have the same length as opposed to two separate lengths. That's about it. Let's make it so the right-hand paddle's on the right-hand side of the screen. Don't forget that when you're looking at the screen over here, the X values are higher. So the X value that we're going to need to start with is about 390 because the paddle is width 10. And that might just do it. I'm going to hit run. Yep, sure enough, I got a paddle over here. I'm going to turn this off. So now I got my 2 paddles. And what I'd really like to do is I'd like to be able to move them up and down. And so we're going to use a function called on key hold. And we will accept a parameter called keys, which is really cool. This function is so neat. It lets you press several keys at once, and you can detect all of them being pressed. So if you ever wondered how the computer works when you have shift and you press an A or an R or a P, it's a little bit like this. Anyways, we're going to say if up in keys, colon, enter. And basically we're checking to see if the up arrow on the keyboard is being pressed. And if it is, we'd like, since it's the up arrow, we're going to be looking for the key on the far right side because the up arrow key is on the far right side of the keyboard. So we're looking at the paddle on the far right side. So we'll take right paddle and dot center Y because we want to move it up and down. And we'll do minus equals 10, and that'll let us move the thing up and down. And then since I want to do a similar thing for the down key, I'm just going to copy these 2 lines of code. So Control-C, Control-V. Again, if you're on a Mac, you'll do Command. And then I'll do the down key. And it's still the right paddle, except now we will do plus equals 10. And if everything works the way I'm hoping, I'll hit run. And when I hit the up arrow and hit the down arrow, I got a paddle that's moving up and down. Pretty cool, huh? Okay. Now, I'd also like to do the left. I'd like to do the left. Here it is, the left paddle. And so I'm going to go ahead and copy this code. Control-C. and Control V. And then we'll just do everything for the left paddle. Now for the left paddle, maybe if you've played video games before, you might be familiar with WASD. Those keys a lot of times are used like up and down and left and right arrows. So we're going to say if W, that'll be our up key, we'll move the left paddle. And if the key below the W is the S key. And again, we'll move the left paddle. And now if I hit run, I can move the left paddle up and down with WS, and I can move the right paddle up and down with the up and down arrow. And so now the neat thing about Pong is that you could play it by yourself, but you could also play against somebody else. So yay, so this is going to be a fun little project to work on. Now, I was debating whether I wanted to go much further in this first episode of Pong, and I think I do, because I would like to at least show you a ball and have it move around a little bit, and then we'll get into whatever other stuff we need to do next time. So we're going to make a function called onStep. These are kind of advanced functions, on key hold and on step. On step doesn't come up until Unit 6, but it's super powerful, and it lets you do animations, and it allows you to animate non-player characters. And in this case, the ball is a non-player character. The ball is not controlled by a person. The paddles are. So we're going to move the ball. And the way we do that is we're going to say ball.centerX, because with the ball we'd like to move right and left as well as up and down. And we will do plus equals. And this is going to be kind of interesting. Instead of just telling it a number, we're going to say ball.dx. And then up at the top of the code, we'll set what that is. And then for ball.centerY, we'll do plus equals ball.dy. So what's this ball.dx and ball.dy thing? What's that all about? In math, there is this thing called dx or delta x, and it means change in x. In other words, how much would you like x to change? In this case, we would like the center x of the ball to change by some amount, and we will set that amount earlier in the code. So up here, we will, let's do this. Let's create the ping pong ball. So create the ping pong ball, and we'll just make it into a circle with that'll start in the center of the screen, and it'll have a radius of 5, and we won't even mess with the color. You can if you want to, but I'm not gonna. And by the way, if you want to make the ball into a star or a regular polygon or something, you're welcome to. Anyways, ball.dx we will initially set to 1, and ball.dy we will initially also set to 1. And I think we have enough to get a little something going. I'm going to go ahead and hit run. And sure enough, I've got a ball that's moving very slowly towards the right-hand side of the screen. Couple problems, though. One, the ball keeps going no matter what, even if it hits the paddle, so that's bad. The other problem is it's moving too slow. So let's go ahead and zoom this guy. I'm going to change that to these numbers to 5. And this is another nice thing about having things like having custom properties like ball.dx and ball.dy. When you have a custom property that you can set someplace in your code, you can then use that custom property throughout your code, and if you ever want to change it again, you just change it in one place. Let's see what happens. I'm going to go ahead and hit run. And sure enough, now I have a ball that's speeding down the screen. Maybe that's too fast. I'm going to go ahead and set it to 3 for now and hit run. And that seems a little bit more reasonable. Okay, but the ball's still going through my paddle, so we're going to do some things to correct that. Let's see here. I'm going to go ahead. First of all, I'm going to hit enter a few times. You don't need to do this. I just like the idea of having the code up in my face when I'm looking at it. And when I'm learning from a video, it's nice when I don't have to look down at what I'm learning from. I like looking in the middle of the screen. So let's see here. We're now going to check to see if ball.hit shape. Notice that I have a lowercase s and an uppercase s. And then we'll check to see if the ball hits the right paddle. And if it does, then we will do ball.dx minus equal, oops, I'm going to leave a space, minus equals, sorry, it's not minus equals, it's equals minus ball.dx. Now, this is a very powerful line of code right here. What this does is it makes it so whatever number ball.dx was, it'll now be the opposite number. In other words, it'll have the opposite sign. In other words, if it was positive before, it'll be negative now. And if it was negative before, it'll be positive now. That's what this little negative sign in front of ball.dx does. And by the way, it has to be touching ball.dx. There cannot be a space in between the two. And also, you don't want this to be right next to this. Okay, so it should be just like what you see on the screen. Okay, so that will do something interesting. I'm going to go ahead and hit run, and then I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get the paddle down there, and you can see the ball bounced off the paddle, which is cool. Only problem is it went off the bottom of the screen. So I don't know if you guys have ever heard this expression before, but there's an old saying that necessity is the mother of invention. And what that means is that every good invention came about because it was needed. So the next line of code we're going to write because we need to. If we don't want the ball to just go off the bottom and just go away forever, we got to detect when the ball hits the bottom. So I'm going to say if ball.bottom is greater than or equal to 400, which is the bottom of the screen. I'll remind you guys, if we look down here, the biggest Y value is 400. So we will then say if the bottom of the ball goes past or at 400, then we will set ball.dy equal to negative ball.dy. Now, how did I know to make this one ball.dx and make this one ball.dy? Well, check it out. There's some logic here. If I want the ball to hit the paddle and then go back the other way, then what I'm asking to happen is I want the x direction to change. In other words, if I'm going from left to right, and then I want to go from right to left, both of those are in the x direction. So I can do that by adding or subtracting ball.dx to ball.centerx. Now, with the regard to why did we do the ball.dy for the paddle? Well, it's because when the ball goes to the bottom of the screen, I want it to bounce off and go back up. In other words, if the ball's coming down, I want it to hit the bottom and then go back up. And what that means is I want to change the center Y of the ball. And so I will use ball.dy to do that, and I will set it right over here. Okay, so if ball.bottom is greater than or equal to 400, then change the sign of ball.dy. Let's go ahead and take a look and see what happens. I'm going to go ahead and hit run, and I'm going to go ahead and hit the paddle, and the paddle hits the ball, and then the ball hits the bottom. Now, of course, we still got more work to do, but we've done a lot in one little batch of code, okay? Ponger 1. Again, folks, if you did not save this yet, make sure you click the 3 bars up here, hit Save As, and go ahead and put Ponger 1, and then hit Save, and then call me over and let me know that you completed this. And when you're done with this, hopefully I'm going to have a few other videos ready for you to go so that you can try to go to the next level and the next level and the next level. Anyways, good job making it this far. See you soon.